The Three Little Pigs. There was once a mother pig who had 3 little pigs. When they were old enough to leave home, she sent them into the world to seek their fortune. The first pig met a man who was carrying a bundle of straw, and he said to him, "Please may I have some of your straw to build a house?" The man gave him some straw, and the little pig built a nice little straw house. Soon the wolf came up to the house. He knocked at the door and said, "Little pig, let me come in." The little pig answered, "No, no, by the hair on my chinny chin chin." "Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in." So he huffed, and he puffed, and he blew the house in, and ate up the little pig. The second little pig met a man who was carrying a bundle of furs, and he said to him, "Please may I have some of your furs to build a house?" The man gave him some furs, and the little pig built the nice little house. Soon the wolf came up to the house. He knocked at the door and said, "Little pig, let me come in." The little pig answered, "No, no, by the hair on my chinny chin chin." "Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in." So he huffed, and he puffed, and he huffed, and he puffed, and in the end he blew the house in and ate up the little pig. The third little pig met a man who was carrying a load of bricks, and he said to him, "Please may I have some of your bricks to build a house?" The man gave him some bricks, and the little pig built a nice little house. Soon the wolf came to the house. He knocked at the door and said, "Little pig, let me come in." The little pig answered, "No, no, by the hair on my chinny chin chin." "Then I'll huff, and I'll puff, and I'll blow your house in." So he huffed, and he puffed, and he huffed, and he puffed, and he could not blow the house down because it was made of bricks. He had to think of some other way to get the little pig. So he said, "Little pig, I know where there is a nice field of turnips." "Where?" asked the little pig. "In Mr. Smith's field. At 6 tomorrow morning I'll call for you, and we'll go together and get some turnips for dinner." But the little pig got up at 5 o'clock and got the turnips before the wolf came. And when the wolf called at 6 and asked, "Are you ready?" the little pig said, "I have already been to the field, and I already have a pot of turnips on the fire. I am cooking them for dinner." The wolf was very angry, but he still wanted to get the little pig, and he said, "Little pig, I know where there is a nice apple tree with ripe apples on it." "Where?" asked the little pig. "Down at Merry Garden. I'll call for you at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, and we'll go and get some apples." But the little pig got up at 4 o'clock and went to Merry Garden. He hoped to be back with the apples before the wolf came. But he was still up in the tree when he saw the wolf was coming. The little pig was very frightened. "Little pig, so you are here before me. Are the apples nice?" said the wolf. "Yes, very nice," answered the little pig. "I'll throw you one to taste." And he threw an apple as far away as he could. While the wolf was hurrying to pick it up, the little pig jumped down out of the tree and ran home. The next day the wolf called again and said to the little pig, "Little pig, there is a fair at Shanklin this afternoon. Do you want to go? We can go together." "Oh, yes," said the little pig. "What time will you be ready?" "At 3, answered the wolf. So the little pig went off early, as before, and bought a butter churn at the fair. As he was on his way home, he saw the wolf on the road. He did not know what to do, so he got inside the churn. Then the churn began to turn over, and it rolled down the hill with the little pig inside it. This frightened the wolf so much that he did not go to the fair, but ran home. Then he went to the little pig's house and said, "Oh, little pig, I got such a fright as I was going to the fair. A great round thing rolled down the hill past me." The little pig said, "Ha ha, I frightened you then. I went to the fair and bought a butter churn. When I saw you, I got into it and rolled down the hill." Now the wolf was very angry indeed. He decided to climb down the chimney and eat up the little pig. When the little pig heard a noise on the roof, he put his biggest pot on the fire to boil, and took the lid off just as the wolf was coming down. The wolf fell in, and the little pig boiled him. The little pig lived happily ever afterwards in his safe little house and his friends. Once upon a time, there was a boy whose name was Jack. One day, Jack set out to seek his fortune. He hadn't gone very far when he met a cat. "Good morning, Jack," said the cat. "Where are you going?" "I'm going to seek my fortune," said Jack. "May I go with you?" "Yes, if you like." So Jack and the cat went on. They hadn't gone very far when they met a dog. "Oh, good morning, Jack," said the dog. "Where are you going?" "I'm going to seek my fortune," said Jack. "May I go too?" "Yes, certainly." So Jack and the cat and the dog went on. They hadn't gone very much farther when they met a cow. "Hello, Jack," said the cow. "Where are you going?" "I'm going to seek my fortune." "May I go with you?" "Certainly you may." So Jack and the cat and the dog and the cow went on. They hadn't gone very far when they met a goat. "Good morning, Jack," said the goat. "Where are you going?" "I'm going to seek my fortune." "May I go too?" "Yes, if you like." So Jack and the cat and the dog and the cow and the goat went on. They hadn't gone much farther when they met a cock. "Good morning, Jack," said the cock. "Where are you going?" "I'm going to seek my fortune." "May I go with you?" "Certainly," said Jack. So Jack and the cat and the dog and the cow and the goat and the cock went on. They walked and they walked until it got dark, but they couldn't find a place to spend the night. At last they came to a house. Jack told his friends not to talk or to make a noise while he peeped through the window. And do you know what he saw in that house? Some men round a table, and they were counting their money. "Robbers," said Jack to his friends. "Now, when I say go, make as much noise as you can, and we'll frighten them away." So, in a minute, Jack said, "Go!" And the cat mewed, "Meow, meow," and the dog barked, "Woof, woof," and the cow mooed, "Moo, moo," and the goat bleated, "Meh, meh," and the cock crowed, "Cock-a-doodle-doo, cock-a-doodle-doo," and they all together made such a dreadful noise that it frightened the robbers, and they all ran away. Then Jack and his friends went inside the house to have a good sleep. The cat lay down on the rocking chair, and the dog lay under the table, and the goat lay down at the top of the stairs, and the cow went into the cellar where it was nice and cool, and the cock settled down on the roof, and Jack blew out the lamp and went to bed. Now the house was dark, and in a little while everything was quiet. Then the robbers decided to return to their house. So they told one man to go back and see if everything was all right. He went on tiptoe to the house as quietly as he could. But soon he came running back, all out of breath and very frightened. "Don't send me there again," he said. "It's such a dreadful place. I tried to sit down in the rocking chair, but an old woman stuck her knitting needles into me." That wasn't an old woman. That was the cat. "And I went to the table and looked under it, and there was an old man under the table, and he stuck his pincers into me." That wasn't an old man with pincers under the table. That was the dog. "And I went up the stairs, and an old woman with a sweeping brush knocked me right down again." Oh, the silly. That was the goat. "Then I ran down to the cellar, but there was a man there chopping wood, and he hit me on the head with his axe." That wasn't a man with an axe. That was the cow. "But the worst one of all," said the robber, "was on the roof. There was a dreadful little old man up there who shouted, 'Throw him up to me! Throw him up to me!'" The silly. That was the cock. I didn't want to be thrown up to him, so I ran right out of the house. And I'll never go there again." So the robbers never went there again, and Jack and his friends stayed in the house as long as they liked. One day, Henny Penny was picking up corn in the farmyard, when suddenly an acorn fell and hit her on the head. "Dear me," said Henny Penny, "the sky is falling. I must go and tell the king." So she set out to tell the king, and she went along till she met Cocky Locky. "Where are you going, Henny Penny?" said Cocky Locky. "I'm going to tell the king the sky is falling," said Henny Penny. "May I go with you?" said Cocky Locky. "Certainly," said Henny Penny. So they went along together to tell the king the sky was falling. They went along till they met Ducky Daddles. "Where are you going, Henny Penny and Cocky Locky?" said Ducky Daddles. "We're going to tell the king the sky is falling," said Henny Penny and Cocky Locky. "May I go with you?" said Ducky Daddles. "Certainly," said Henny Penny and Cocky Locky. So they went along together to tell the king the sky was falling. They went along till they met Goosey Poosey. "Where are you going, Henny Penny and Cocky Locky and Ducky Daddles?" said Goosey Poosey. "We are going to tell the king the sky is falling," said Henny Penny and Cocky Locky and Ducky Daddles. "May I go with you?" said Goosey Poosey. "Certainly," said Henny Penny and Cocky Locky and Ducky Daddles. So they went along together to tell the king the sky was falling. They went along till they met Turkey Lurkey. "Where are you going, Henny Penny and Cocky Locky and Ducky Daddles and Goosey Poosey?" said Turkey Lurkey. "We are going to tell the king the sky is falling," said Henny Penny and Cocky Locky and Ducky Daddles and Goosey Poosey. "May I go with you?" said Turkey Lurkey. "Certainly," said Henny Penny and Cocky Locky and Ducky Daddles and Goosey Poosey. So they went along together to tell the king the sky was falling. They went along till they met Foxy Woxy. "Where are you going, Henny Penny and Cocky Locky and Ducky Daddles and Goosey Poosey and Turkey Lurkey?" said Foxy Woxy. "We are going to tell the king the sky is falling," said Henny Penny and Cocky Locky and Ducky Daddles and Goosey Poosey and Turkey Lurkey. "But you are all going the wrong way," said Foxy Woxy. "Shall I show you the right way?" "Yes, please," said Henny Penny and Cocky Locky and Ducky Daddles and Goosey Poosey and Turkey Lurkey. They followed Foxy Woxy till they came to a dark hole. This was the front door of Foxy Woxy's cave. "Follow me," said Foxy Woxy. "This is a short way to the king's palace. You'll soon get there if you follow me. I shall go first, and you come after." Foxy Woxy went into his cave, but he did not go very far in. He hid a little way inside and waited. Soon Turkey Lurkey went in, and Foxy Woxy bit off his head and threw his body over his shoulder. Then Goosey Poosey went in, and Foxy Woxy bit off her head and threw her body over his shoulder. Then Ducky Daddles went in, and Foxy Woxy bit off her head and threw her body over his shoulder. Then Cocky Locky went in, and Foxy Woxy bit off his head too. But Cocky Locky just had time to crow first, and Henny Penny knew something was wrong. She turned round and ran home as fast as she could, so she never told the king the sky was falling and the grain of wheat. One day, as the little red hen was scratching in a field, she found a grain of wheat. "This grain of wheat should be planted," she said. "Who will plant this grain of wheat?" "Not I," said the duck. "Not I," said the cat. "Not I," said the dog. "Then I will," said the little red hen. And she did. Soon the wheat grew tall and yellow. "The wheat is ripe," said the little red hen. "Who will cut the wheat?" "Not I," said the duck. "Not I," said the cat. "Not I," said the dog. "Then I will," said the little red hen. And she did. When the wheat was cut, the little red hen said, "Who will thresh this wheat?" "Not I," said the duck. "Not I," said the cat. "Not I," said the dog. "Then I will," said the little red hen. And she did. When the wheat was all threshed, the little red hen said, "Who will take this wheat to the mill?" "Not I," said the duck. "Not I," said the cat. "Not I," said the dog. "Then I will," said the little red hen. And she did. She took the wheat to the mill, and it was made into flour. Then she said, "Who will make this flour into bread?" "Not I," said the duck. "Not I," said the cat. "Not I," said the dog. "Then I will," said the little red hen. And she did. She baked the bread. Then she said, "Who will eat this bread?" "Oh, I will," said the duck. "And I will," said the cat. "And I will," said the dog. "No, no," said the little red hen. "I will do that." The old woman and she did, and her pig. Once an old woman was sweeping her house, and she found a little crooked sixpence. "What shall I do with this little sixpence?" she said. "I will go to the market and buy a little pig." And the old woman did so. As she was coming home, she came to a stile, but the pig wouldn't go over the stile. The old woman went a little farther, and she met a dog. So she said to him, "Dog, dog, bite the pig. The pig won't go over the stile, and I shan't get home tonight." But the dog wouldn't. She went a little farther, and she met a stick. So she said, "Stick, stick, beat the dog. The dog won't bite the pig. The pig won't go over the stile, and I shan't get home tonight." But the stick wouldn't. She went a little farther, and she met a fire. So she said, "Fire, fire, burn the stick. The stick won't beat the dog. The dog won't bite the pig. The pig won't go over the stile, and I shan't get home tonight." But the fire wouldn't. She went a little farther, and she met some water. So she said, "Water, water, put out the fire. The fire won't burn the stick. The stick won't beat the dog. The dog won't bite the pig. The pig won't go over the stile, and I shan't get home tonight." But the water wouldn't. She went a little farther, and she met an ox. So she said, "Ox, ox, drink the water. The water won't put out the fire. The fire won't burn the stick. The stick won't beat the dog. The dog won't bite the pig. The pig won't go over the stile, and I shan't get home tonight." But the ox wouldn't. She went a little farther, and she met a butcher. So she said, "Butcher, butcher, kill the ox. The ox won't drink the water. The water won't put out the fire. The fire won't burn the stick. The stick won't beat the dog. The dog won't bite the pig. The pig won't go over the stile, and I shan't get home tonight." But the butcher wouldn't. She went a little farther, and she met a rope. So she said, "Rope, rope, bind the butcher. The butcher won't kill the ox. The ox won't drink the water. The water won't put out the fire. The fire won't burn the stick. The stick won't beat the dog. The dog won't bite the pig. The pig won't go over the stile, and I shan't get home tonight." But the rope wouldn't. She went a little farther, and she met a rat. So she said, "Rat, rat, gnaw the rope. The rope won't bind the butcher. The butcher won't kill the ox. The ox won't drink the water. The water won't put out the fire. The fire won't burn the stick. The stick won't beat the dog. The dog won't bite the pig. The pig won't go over the stile, and I shan't get home tonight." But the rat wouldn't. She went a little farther, and she met a cat. So she said, "Cat, cat, kill the rat. The rat won't gnaw the rope. The rope won't bind the butcher. The butcher won't kill the ox. The ox won't drink the water. The water won't put out the fire. The fire won't burn the stick. The stick won't beat the dog. The dog won't bite the pig. The pig won't go over the stile, and I shan't get home tonight." Then the cat said to her, "If you go to the cow and fetch me a saucer of milk, I will kill the rat." So the old woman went away to the cow. But the cow said to her, "If you go to the haystack and fetch me a bundle of hay, I'll give you the milk." So the old woman went away to the haystack, and she brought the hay to the cow. As soon as the cow had eaten the hay, she gave the old woman the milk, and the old woman gave the milk in a saucer to the cat. As soon as the cat had lapped up the milk, the cat began to run after the rat. The rat began to gnaw the rope. The rope began to bind the butcher. The butcher began to kill the ox. The ox began to drink up the water. The water began to put out the fire. The fire began to burn up the stick. The stick began to beat the dog. The dog began to bite the little pig. The little pig, in a fright, jumped over the stile. And so the old woman got home that night. And the 3 bears. Once upon a time, there were 3 bears. There was a great big father bear, a middle-sized mother bear, and a little baby bear. They lived together in a house in a wood. One morning, Mother Bear made porridge for breakfast and filled 3 bowls with it. There was a great big bowl for Father Bear, a middle-sized bowl for herself, and a little bowl for Baby Bear. At first, the porridge was too hot to eat. The bears did not want to burn their mouths, so they went for a little walk in the wood while their porridge cooled. That day, a little girl went for a walk in the same wood. She had golden curls, and everybody called her Goldilocks. Sometimes she stopped to pick a flower or to listen to a bird. Soon she came to the house where the 3 bears lived. "Oh, what a lovely little house," said Goldilocks. "I wonder who lives here." She knocked at the door, and, as there was no answer, she knocked again and again. Then she peeped through the keyhole. But of course the 3 bears were out for a walk. There was no one to open the door. "I'll just look inside," thought Goldilocks. "The door is not locked." So she lifted the latch, opened the door, and went in. The first thing she saw was the bears' 3 chairs. She climbed into Father Bear's great big chair. "Oh, it's too hard," she said. Then she tried Mother Bear's middle-sized chair. "Oh, it's too soft." Then she sat down in Baby Bear's little chair. "Oh, it isn't too hard and it isn't too soft. It's just right." But Goldilocks was too heavy for the little chair, and she broke the bottom out of it. Then Goldilocks smelt porridge, and she saw the 3 bowls of porridge on the table. She was very hungry, as she had not had any breakfast. "I'll eat a little," she said. First, she tried the porridge in Father Bear's great big bowl, but it was too hot. Next, she tried the porridge in Mother Bear's middle-sized bowl, but that was too cold. Then she tried the porridge in Baby Bear's little bowl. It wasn't too hot and it wasn't too cold. It was just right. And Goldilocks ate up all the porridge in Baby Bear's little bowl. Then Goldilocks decided to go upstairs and see what was there. She saw 3 beds. Father Bear's great big bed, and Mother Bear's middle-sized bed, and Baby Bear's little bed. They were all neat and tidy. First, she lay on the great big bed. "Oh, it's too hard." Then she lay on the middle-sized bed. "Oh, it's too soft." Then she lay on the little bed. "Oh, This bed isn't too hard and it isn't too soft. It's just right. Goldilocks was so comfortable that she soon fell fast asleep, with her head on Baby Bear's pillow. After a while, the 3 bears came back from their walk. They thought their porridge would now be cool enough to eat. As soon as they entered the house, Father Bear saw that his chair was not in its right place. "Someone has been sitting on my chair," he said in a great big voice. Mother Bear saw that her cushion was rumpled. "Someone has been sitting on my chair," she said in a middle-sized voice. Then Baby Bear had a look at his chair. "Someone has been sitting on my chair and has broken the bottom right out," he said in his little baby voice. Then they looked at their bowls of porridge on the table. Father Bear saw that his spoon was not in its place. "Someone has been eating my porridge," he said in a great big voice. Mother Bear noticed that her spoon was in the bowl. "Someone has been eating my porridge," she said in a middle-sized voice. Baby Bear looked at his bowl. "Someone has been eating my porridge and has eaten it all up," he said in a little baby voice. "Let's go upstairs and look at the bedroom," said Father Bear, and they all went upstairs. Father Bear saw that his blanket was rumpled. "Someone has been lying on my bed," he said in his great big voice. Mother Bear saw that her pillow was not quite in its place. "Someone has been lying on my bed," she said in a middle-sized voice. Then Baby Bear looked at his bed. "Someone has been lying on the bed and she's lying there still," he cried in a little baby voice. Now, when Father Bear was speaking, his great voice sounded deep like thunder, but Goldilocks did not wake up. When Mother Bear was speaking in her middle-sized voice, it sounded like the wind in the trees. But Goldilocks did not wake up. Only when Baby Bear cried in his shrill baby voice, Goldilocks woke and sat up in bed. She was very surprised and frightened to see 3 bears in the room with their little eyes on her. She was out of bed in a moment, and down the stairs, and out of the door, and she never stopped running till she got back to her own home. She had got such a fright that she never went for a walk in the wood again to look for the Riding Hood. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who was loved by all who knew her. Her grandmother made her a little red cloak with a red hood. The cloak was so nice and warm that she often wore it. She wore it so often that people called her Red Riding Hood. One day, her mother said to her, "Red Riding Hood, I want you to take a basket of good things to your grandmother, who isn't very well. Some bread, a cake, and a piece of fresh butter." Her mother put the things in a basket. "Don't run," she said, "or you may fall down with your basket. But don't go too slowly, or you will be too late. Just go quickly and carefully, and don't talk to any strangers you may meet." "I will do just as you tell me, Mother," said Red Riding Hood, and she put on her red cloak and left the house. Her grandmother lived in a wood, about half an hour's walk away from the village. Red Riding Hood went carefully. She didn't run, and she didn't walk too slowly. When she was going through the wood, she met a wolf. Red Riding Hood had no idea what a wicked and cruel animal the wolf was, so she was not afraid of him. She quite forgot that her mother had told her not to speak to strangers. "Good morning, Red Riding Hood," said the wolf. "Good morning, Wolf," said Red Riding Hood. "Where are you going so early?" asked the wolf. "I am going to visit my grandmother, who is not very well," answered Red Riding Hood. "What have you in your basket?" "I have some bread, a cake, and a piece of fresh butter." "Where does your grandmother live?" "She lives in the wood. Her house is under 3 oak trees, and there are nut bushes beside it." "This pretty little girl will be a tasty dinner for me," thought the wolf, and he looked hungrily at Red Riding Hood. "She will be more tasty than the old woman, but if I am careful, perhaps I can eat them both up." He would have eaten Red Riding Hood at once, but he could hear the sound of an axe nearby. That meant that there were men not far away, and he did not want to be caught. So the wolf walked along with Red Riding Hood for a while. Then he said, "Look at the pretty flowers, Red Riding Hood. Why don't you gather some flowers for your grandmother? She will be very pleased with some fresh flowers if she is not well and cannot go out." "What a good idea! It is quite early. I have time to pick flowers," said Red Riding Hood. She looked around and saw many lovely bright flowers. So she walked under the trees and picked the flowers. Each time she picked one, she always saw another prettier flower farther on. She went deeper and deeper into the wood. At the same time, she listened to the birds in the trees as they sang their sweet songs. But the wolf went straight to the grandmother's house. When he reached the house, he knocked at the door. Toc, toc. "Who is there?" asked the grandmother in a weak voice. "It is Red Riding Hood," said the wolf, and he tried to make his gruff voice sound soft. "I have brought you some bread, a cake, and a piece of fresh butter." "Lift the latch and walk in," said the grandmother. "I am too weak to get up." The wolf lifted the latch and he walked into the house. The old lady was lying in bed. The wolf went straight up to the bed and swallowed her up. Then he put on a nightdress and a nightcap, got into the grandmother's bed, and drew the curtains. When Red Riding Hood had gathered as many flowers as she could carry, she hurried on to her grandmother's house. She was very surprised when she got to the house and found the door open. And when she entered the room, everything seemed so strange. She felt quite frightened, but she did not know why. "Good morning, grandmother," she cried, but she received no answer. Then she went up to the bed and drew the curtains back. There lay her grandmother, but she had pulled her nightcap over her face, and she looked very strange. "Oh, grandmother, what big ears you have!" said Red Riding Hood. "The better to hear you with, my dear," said the wolf. "Oh, grandmother, what big eyes you have!" "The better to see you with, my dear." "Oh, grandmother, what big hands you have!" "The better to hug you with, my dear." "Oh, grandmother, what big teeth you have!" "The better to eat you with, my dear." With these words, the wicked wolf jumped out of bed and swallowed poor little Red Riding Hood. Then, after such a good meal, he went back to bed for a rest. Soon he was asleep and snoring loudly. Later on, a hunter went past the house, and he heard the wolf's loud snores. Of course, he thought it was the grandmother. "How loudly the old lady is snoring," he thought. "Perhaps she is not well. I'll just open the door and see if she is all right." So he went into the house and saw the wolf asleep in the old lady's bed. "I know who you are," said the hunter. "You've done bad things for years. Well, you'll never have a chance to kill anyone else." He raised his gun to shoot when he thought that perhaps the wolf had swallowed the old lady and that she might still be saved. So he took a knife and carefully cut open the wolf as he lay asleep. The little girl jumped out and cried, "Oh, how frightened I was! It was so dark inside the wolf." Next, the old grandmother came out, alive but very weak after her horrible adventure. They were quite happy now. The hunter took the wolf's skin home. The grandmother ate all the good things which Red Riding Hood brought, and she soon felt quite strong. As for Red Riding Hood, she decided always to follow her mother's advice. The Gingerbread Man. Once upon a time, there was a little old man and a little old woman, and they lived in a little old house. They hadn't any children, so one day the little old woman made herself a little boy out of gingerbread. She gave him a chocolate jacket and raisins for buttons, and he had currants for eyes and a cherry for a mouth. When he was finished, she put him in a tin in the oven to bake. "Now I have a little boy of my own," she thought. When it was time to take the gingerbread boy out of the oven, she opened the oven door and took out the tin. But in a moment, the gingerbread boy jumped onto the floor and ran out of the back door and down the road. The little old man and the little old woman ran after him, but he ran faster than they and shouted, "Run, run, as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the Gingerbread Man." And they couldn't catch him. The little gingerbread boy ran on till he came to a cow. The cow was eating grass by the roadside. "Stop, little gingerbread boy," said the cow. "I want to eat you." The little gingerbread boy laughed and said, "I have run away from a little old woman and a little old man, and I can run away from you, I can." As the cow ran after him, he looked back and cried, "Run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man." And the cow couldn't catch him. The little gingerbread boy ran on till he came to a horse in a meadow. "Stop, little gingerbread boy," said the horse. "I want to eat you." The little gingerbread boy laughed and said, "I have run away from a little old woman and a little old man, a cow, and I can run away from you, I can." As the horse ran after him, he looked back and cried, "Run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man." And the horse couldn't catch him. The little gingerbread boy ran on till he came to a barn full of threshers. "Stop, little gingerbread boy," said the threshers. "We want to eat you up." The little gingerbread boy laughed and said, "I have run away from a little old woman and a little old man, a cow, a horse, and I can run away from you, I can." As the threshers ran after him, he looked back and cried, "Run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man." And the threshers couldn't catch him. The little gingerbread boy ran on till he came to a field full of mowers. "Stop, little gingerbread boy," said the mowers. "We want to eat you up." The little gingerbread boy laughed and said, "I have run away from a little old woman and a little old man, a cow, a horse, a barn full of threshers, and I can run away from you, I can." As the mowers ran after him, he looked back and cried, "Run, run as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the gingerbread man." And the mowers could not catch him. By now, the little gingerbread boy was so pleased with himself that he was quite sure that nobody could ever catch him. So, when he met a fox, he called out to him, "I have run away from a little old woman and a little old man, a cow, a horse, a barn full of threshers, a field full of mowers, and I can run away from you, I can." "I don't want to catch you," said the fox. Just then, the little gingerbread boy reached a wide river. He could not swim, but he wanted to get across the river. "I'll take you across," said the fox. "Jump on my tail." So the little gingerbread boy sat on the fox's tail, and the fox began to swim. When the fox had gone a little way, he said, "You are too heavy for my tail, and you may get wet. Jump onto my back." The little gingerbread boy jumped onto the fox's back. When he had gone a little farther, the fox said, "You may get wet where you are. Jump onto my shoulder." So the little gingerbread boy jumped onto the fox's shoulder. When the fox had gone still farther, he said, "My shoulder is getting wet. Jump onto my nose. You will keep dry there." So the little gingerbread boy jumped onto the fox's nose. As soon as the fox reached the bank of the river, His teeth snapped at the gingerbread boy. "Oh, I'm a quarter gone," said the little gingerbread boy. "Oh, I'm half gone," he said a minute later. "Oh, I'm 3/4 gone," he said the next minute. And he never said anything else, because he was all gone. Once upon a time, there was an old man and an old woman and a little boy. One morning, the old woman made a Johnny cake and put it in the oven to bake. "You watch the Johnny cake while your father and I go out to work in the garden," said the old woman to the boy. So the old man and the old woman went out and began to hoe potatoes, and left the little boy to look after the oven. But he didn't watch it all the time, and suddenly he heard a noise. The boy looked up. The oven door had opened itself. Then Johnny Cake jumped out of the oven and rolled towards the open door of the house. The little boy ran to shut the door, but Johnny Cake was too quick for him, and rolled through the door, down the steps, and out into the road. The little boy cried out to his father and mother and ran after Johnny Cake as fast as he could. When the parents heard the noise, they threw down their hoes and gave chase too. But Johnny Cake outran all three a long way, and was soon out of sight, while they had to sit down, all out of breath, on a bank to rest. On went Johnny Cake, and soon he came to two well diggers, who were digging a well. They looked up from their work and called out, "Where are you going, Johnny Cake?" He said, "I've outrun an old man, and an old woman, and a little boy, and I can outrun you too." "You can you? We'll see about that," said they, and they threw down their picks and ran after him. But they couldn't catch up with him, and soon they had to sit down by the roadside to rest. On ran Johnny Cake, and soon he came to two ditch diggers who were digging a ditch. "Where are you going, Johnny Cake?" asked they. He said, "I've outrun an old man, and an old woman, and a little boy, and two well diggers, and I can outrun you too." "You can you? We'll see about that," said they, and they threw down their spades and ran after him too. But Johnny Cake soon outran them also. So they gave up the chase and sat down to rest. On went Johnny Cake, and soon he came to a bear. The bear asked, "Where are you going, Johnny Cake?" He said, "I've outrun an old man, and an old woman, and a little boy, and two well diggers, and two ditch diggers, and I can outrun you too." "You can you?" said the bear in his gruff voice. "We'll see about that." And the bear ran as fast as his legs could carry him after Johnny Cake, who never stopped to look behind him. But soon the bear was left so far behind that he gave up the chase at last, and he lay down by the roadside to rest. On went Johnny Cake, and soon he came to a wolf. The wolf asked, "Where are you going, Johnny Cake?" He said, "I've outrun an old man, and an old woman, and a little boy, and 2 well diggers, and 2 ditch diggers, and a bear, and I can outrun you too." "You can you?" said the wolf in his horrible angry voice. "We'll see about that." And he ran after Johnny Cake, who went on so fast that the wolf too saw that he could not hope to catch him, and he too lay down to rest. On went Johnny Cake, and soon he came to a fox that lay quietly in a corner by a fence. The fox called out in a sharp voice, "Where are you going, Johnny Cake?" But the fox did not get up. Johnny Cake said, "I've outrun an old man, and an old woman, and a little boy, and 2 well diggers, and 2 ditch diggers, a bear, and a wolf, and I can outrun you too." "I can't quite hear you, Johnny Cake. Won't you come a little closer?" said the fox, and turned his head a little to one side. Johnny Cake stopped running for the first time. Then he went a little closer, and called out in a very loud voice, "I've outrun an old man, and an old woman, and a little boy, and 2 well diggers, and 2 ditch diggers, and a bear, and a wolf, and I can outrun you too." "I can't quite hear you. Won't you come a little closer?" said the fox in a weak voice, as he turned his head towards Johnny Cake, and put one paw behind his ear. Johnny Cake came up close. He leaned towards the fox and screamed out, "I've outrun an old man, and an old woman, and a little boy, and 2 well diggers, and 2 ditch diggers, and a bear, and a wolf, and I can outrun you too." "You can you?" cried the fox, and he snapped up the Johnny Cake in his sharp teeth in the twinkling of an eye. The Mouse and the Little Red Hen. Once upon a time there was a hill, and on the hill there was a lovely little house. It had 1 little green door, and 4 little windows with green shutters, and in it there lived a cock, and a mouse, and a little red hen. On another hill, not very far away, on the other side of a small river, there was another little house. It was a very bad little house. It had a door that didn't shut, and 2 broken windows. And in this house there lived a bad big fox, and 4 bad little foxes. One morning, these 4 bad little foxes came to the big bad fox and said, "Oh, Father, we're so hungry." "We had nothing to eat yesterday," said one. "And almost nothing the day before," said another. "And only half a chicken the day before that," said the third. "And only 2 little ducks the day before that," said the fourth. The big bad fox shook his head for a long time, for he was thinking. At last he said in a big gruff voice, "Over the hill there I see a house, and in that house there lives a cock." "And a mouse," screamed two of the little foxes. "And a little red hen," screamed the other two. "And they are nice and fat," went on the big bad fox. "I'll take my sack, and I'll go up that hill, and in that house, and I'll put the cock, and the mouse, and the little red hen into my sack. I'll do it today." So the four little foxes jumped for joy, and the big bad fox went to get his sack. But what was happening to the cock and the mouse and the little red hen all this time? That morning, the cock and the mouse had both got out of bed on the wrong side. The cock said the day was too hot, and the mouse said it was too cold. They came grumbling down to the kitchen, where the good little red hen was working happily about the house. "Who'll get some sticks for the fire?" she asked. "I shan't," said the cock. "I shan't," said the mouse. "Then I'll do it myself," said the little red hen. So off she ran to get the sticks. "And now, who'll fill the kettle from the spring?" she asked. "I shan't," said the cock. "I shan't," said the mouse. "Then I'll do it myself," said the little red hen. And off she ran to the spring to fill the kettle. "And who'll get the breakfast ready?" she asked as she put the kettle on to boil. "I shan't," said the cock. "I shan't," said the mouse. "Then I'll do it myself," said the little red hen. All breakfast time the cock and the mouse quarrelled and grumbled. "Who'll clear the table?" asked the poor little red hen. "I shan't," said the cock. "I shan't," said the mouse. "Then I'll do it myself," said the little red hen. So she cleared everything away, swept up the floor, and brushed up the fireplace. "And now, who'll help me to make the beds?" "I shan't," said the cock. "I shan't," said the mouse. "Then I'll make the beds by myself," said the little red hen. And she went away upstairs. But the lazy cock and the lazy mouse each sat down in a comfortable armchair by the fire, and soon fell fast asleep. Just at this time, the big bad fox was going up the hill. Then he walked into the garden of the lovely little house and peeped in at the window. Rat-tat-tat, rat-tat-tat, the fox knocked at the door. "Who can that be?" said the mouse, and half opened his eyes. "Go and look for yourself, if you want to know," said the rude cock. "It's the postman, perhaps," thought the mouse, "and he may have a letter to me." So he did not wait to see who it was, but lifted the latch and opened the door. As soon as he opened it, the big bad fox jumped in with a cruel smile upon his face. "Oh, oh, oh," squeaked the mouse, and he tried to run up the chimney. "Doodle-doodle-doo," screamed the cock as he jumped on the back of the biggest armchair. But the fox only laughed. He caught the little mouse by the tail and popped him into the sack. Then he caught the cock by the neck and popped him in too. Then the poor little red hen ran quickly downstairs to see what all the noise was about, and the fox caught her and put her into the sack with the others. Then he took a long piece of string out of his pocket and tied the sack with it. After that, he threw the sack over his back and off he went down the hill. "Oh, I wish I hadn't been so rude," said the cock. "Oh, I wish I hadn't been so lazy," said the mouse. "It's never too late to mend," said the little red hen. "And don't be too sad. See, I have my little work bag here, and in it there is a pair of scissors, a little thimble, and a needle and a thread. Very soon you will see what I am going to do." Now the sun was very hot, and soon Mr. Fox began to feel that his sack was very heavy. At last he decided to lie down under a tree and sleep for a little while. So he threw the sack down and very soon fell fast asleep. As soon as the little red hen heard that the fox was snoring, she took out her scissors and cut a little hole in the sack. "Quick," she whispered to the mouse. "Creep through this hole, then run as fast as you can and bring back a stone just as large as yourself." Out went the mouse, and soon he came back with the stone. It was heavy, and he had to drag it after him. "Push it in here," said the little red hen, and the mouse quickly pushed it into the sack. Then the little red hen cut the hole larger, and soon the cock was able to creep through it. "Quick," she said, "run and get a stone as big as yourself." Out flew the cock, and soon he came back with a big stone which he pushed into the sack. Then the little red hen crept out, got a stone as big as herself, and pushed it into the sack. Next she put on her thimble, took out her needle and thread, and sewed up the hole as quickly as ever she could. When that was done, the cock and the mouse and the little red hen ran home very fast. They shut the door after them, locked it, and shut the shutters. The big bad fox lay fast asleep under the tree for some time, but at last he woke up. "Dear, dear," he said, "I have slept a long time. I must hurry home." The big bad fox grumbled to himself as he went down the hill, till he came to the river. Splash! One foot went in. Splash! The other foot went in. But the stones in the sack were so heavy that at the very next step Mr. Fox fell down into a deep pool. He couldn't get out of it, so he was never seen again, and the 4 bad little foxes had to go to bed without any supper. But the cock and the mouse never grumbled again. They lit the fire, filled the kettle, made the breakfast, and did all the work, while the good little red hen had a holiday. She sat resting in the big armchair. No foxes ever troubled them again, and they are still living happily in the little house with the green door and the green shutters, which stands on the hill. Tommy Grimes was sometimes a good boy, and sometimes a bad boy. And when he was a bad boy, his mother often said to him, "Now, Tommy, be a good boy and please don't go out of the street, or Mr. Miaccia will kill you and take you away." But one day, Tommy was a very bad boy, and he went out of the street. He turned the corner, and there was Mr. Miaccia. Mr. Miaccia caught him and popped him into his bag upside down and carried him away to his house. When Mr. Miaccia came home, he pulled Tommy out of the bag and felt his arms and legs. "You're not fat enough," he said, "but you're all I've got for supper, so I'll eat you. But oh dear, I haven't any herbs to put in the water, and you'll not be tasty without herbs. I'll call my wife." He called to Mrs. Miaccia. "Sally, come here for a minute." Mrs. Miaccia came in from the next room and said, "What do you want, my dear?" "Oh, here's a little boy I brought home for supper," said Mr. Miaccia, "but I've forgotten the herbs. I'll just go out and fetch them while you look after him for me." "All right, my love," said Mrs. Miaccia. Tommy Grimes looked at Mrs. Miaccia and asked, "Does Mr. Miaccia always have little boys for supper?" "Mostly, my dear, if the little boys are bad enough and he can catch them," said Mrs. Miaccia. "Don't you have anything else except boys?" asked Tommy. "Don't you ever have any pudding?" "Ah, I love pudding," said Mrs. Miaccia, "but I don't often get any." "My mother is making a pudding today," said Tommy Grimes, "and I'm sure she'll give you some if I ask her. Shall I run home and get some?" "That's a kind boy," said Mrs. Miaccia. "Only don't be too long away, and be sure to be back before supper time." So Tommy ran off and soon was safe at home. He was very glad that he had run away from Mr. Miaccia. For many days he was as good as could be, and never went round the corner of the street. But Tommy Grimes couldn't always be good, and one day he went round the corner of the street again. Mr. Miaccia caught him again and popped him into his bag upside down. When Mr. Miaccia got home, he pulled Tommy out of the bag. "I remember you," said Mr. Miaccia. "You're the little boy who played a trick on me and my wife. You left us without any supper. Well, you will not do it again. I'll keep an eye on you myself. Creep under the sofa and I'll sit on it and watch the pot till it boils." So poor Tommy Grimes crept under the sofa, and Mr. Miaccia sat on it and watched the pot till it boiled. They waited and waited and waited, Mr. Miaccia on the sofa and Tommy under it, but still the pot didn't boil. At last Mr. Miaccia got tired of waiting, and he said, "Here, you under the sofa. I'm not going to wait any longer. Put out your leg, and I'll see that you don't run away." But Tommy guessed what Mr. Miaccia was going to do, and he took the leg of the sofa, which was loose, and stuck it out. Mr. Miaccia took an axe, chopped the leg off, and threw it in the pot. Then he went into the next room to look for Mrs. Miaccia. While he was there, Tommy crept from under the sofa and ran out of the door and straight home. This time, Tommy had had such a fright that he was always a good boy after it. He never went round the corner again till he was old enough to go alone.